bum, 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 bum. Ta-da! Space, the final frontier. We are here at Propstore, where the temperature has now reached 300 degrees.
Kelvin, I believe. Yes.
This is no longer a Class M planet.
It's uninhabitable. It's SETI. This is SETI Alpha 6. It is very warm here. We are here with Chuck Costas from Propstore, the big, giant auction, August 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. Day one at the Peterson Museum. Then on propstore.com, you can go there, download the catalog, check it all out. We are here in the world of Star Trek. We got a lot of really wonderful things. Maybe we'll start back here. This fine suit. We'll get some nice close-ups. This is a Star Trek Generations Picard. Now, you care less about a Picard from Generations, right? You're still
just the movies. I'm a
you're a
Picard
TV show guy.
It's very cool. It is Picard.
It is gorgeous. He's shorter than I remember. He hosted Saturday Night Live when I was there, but I remember him being taller. It's got the undersuit.
He just slides that in there.
Yeah, I got it worked. It's got the communicator, little thingy.
Badges, what they call them. Comm badges.
Comm badges.
Yes, it's a Star Trek term. Yes.
Comm badges, nice. And over here, interestingly enough, we're going to go the other way. Anson Mount as Captain Christopher Pike on the new Star Trek, is it Paramount Plus? Strange New Worlds, yes?
Correct.
Strange New Worlds. He's a very tall gentleman, very handsome
Very
gentleman.
stately gentleman.
Yes, very handsome. A new show, which I have to say I get a kick out of. I really enjoy this latest iteration of Star Trek. I could do with less Kirk and Spock, or at least less of the Kirk. I just want Pike. I want the adventures of Pike. They don't have to keep adding Kirk. So if you're watching, that's what I think. I'm sure you completely agree. Screen used, obviously.
Yes, this is the very first costume that has come out from Strange New Worlds. And in fact, we've got a Pike, we've got an Uhura, we've got a Spock.
Tell them.
I'll tell them. I think it's really cool because this auction, I like to think of it as we're going from the beginning of Star Trek, which is original series, and we'll talk more about some of the cool things we have from that, all the way to Strange New Worlds. And this is also the first time we're releasing some stuff from Picard Season 3, which I think was a lot of people's favorites as well. But I really love that. We were able to get all the sort of key characters that are on the Enterprise in Strange New Worlds, including that lovely Pike there. The comm badges are production used as well as the costumes. So first chance to get those, get the complete set.
Will there be more Strange New Worlds and Picard stuff in the future, or
It's always possible. As of right now, we have
This is what
not
you
sort
got.
of set up a deal to
I like it.
to do that auction. This was sort of a special sort of one-time offering of these particular costumes. So
Yes.
it's always possible.
So you've got
It's always-
hundreds of them.
We do not
I
have
should
hundreds of
point
them.
out, because you can't see it, the Pike has boots, pants and boots. Well, you can see his pants. But
Yes,
I
that's
have
right.
no pants on. He does. But it has boots. The Picard does not have boots, so that's something you would need to sort of find, which they're out there, next gen boots and whatnot.
Yes.
But still, two really nice costumes.
Interesting thing about the boots on those is when CBS was making these, they actually made boots that were just like the ones on the set, so that in case later on they did release more of the costumes, they made the boots available to the general public so that people could cosplay with them.
Oh,
so
neat.
if they
you
ever
can
got
actually
a,
buy an official boot, so to speak.
that is correct. Yeah, and at least they had the forevision that
Right.
fans may want these for cosplaying purposes, so they put official boots
Very cool.
out in the public.
Should we talk about
The front row.
the featured prop here?
Pretty wonderful.
This is a 60s Star Trek original series screen matched tricorder.
That and more, yes. That is true. So this right here is the very first sketch of a tricorder. So Hua Cheng was the original creator of the
Famous designer,
Yes,
yes.
famous designer. And it was interesting when I was looking it up. I thought there would be multiple pre-production sketches, but this is the only one that I can find. Now, Propstore's handled this before. It was interesting. I took a trip to D.C. The collector there was a real big tricorder fan, but gave this up. And I didn't know at the time that we were going to be able to offer a real tricorder.
Oh, so these did
alongside
not
it.
come together.
They
this
did
was
not.
one consigner and this is another consigner.
That is,
Well, that works out
but they make
nicely.
but they do make a perfect match
Yeah.
together. But what's interesting on this is to study the original design, and you'll notice that there are some differences in the design. Because in this case, a lot of people have speculated that was a memory bank that was based off of the old IBM computers. Because if you remember back in the day, the big computers looked like this, and they were trying to imagine what a smaller computer would look like in the 1960s. And so this was Hua Cheng's original sketch. Now, it obviously morphed, and they added the circular design, which I think is fantastic, but also matches to the communicator. And so I don't know if that was the reason that they wanted to sort of tie the two together, and that was the way that they tied the two together, which is possible. But this was the Wei Chang design. Now, for season 1, he actually created the actual first tricorders that were used on the series. So he made 2 of them. It was $275 a piece is what he charged to make those. And they used those from seasons 1 and season 2.
The starting bid on this is $275.
In today's adjusted dollars, yes.
So $315.
Yes, and you might have to change to a different, like Canadian or something. But what was interesting is I noticed that they changed the hardware from season 1 to season 2 to season 3. So they kept updating the look of the tricorder throughout. Now this, by the time they got to season 3, you can imagine that the very first tricorders were beat up. And they did make some background tricorders in between, but there were 2 original heroes. So when they got to season 3, they made 2 new hero tricorders, and this was one of those 2, and both of those can be screen matched.
This one screen matches to season 3. What is it, the Dove... when doves cry or something?
Yeah, that sounds like the episode. But it was the one that Spock used the most. I think different characters used it. And what we're able to tell is if you look at the season 1 tricorders, the buttons at the top, which actually look like jewels from a watch, and obviously this does move. But what differentiates the season 1 and season 3 is the fact that this was made out of leatherette on the outside versus real leather that they used for the first ones. So
they were saving money.
These
only cost like $240.
They had to cut back. It's a television budget. That is correct. But obviously, this lasted through season 3, so these were the final tricorders that were made, or at least hero ones.
Fantastic. I mean, it's been such a great year for original Trek series stuff coming out that we haven't seen before.
I will tell you one other interesting fact. I don't know why I know this, but I took a visit to the Rand Corporation. Which obviously did a lot of research and stuff. And they have a little mini museum in their lobby. I don't know if I told this on the show at some point, on the podcast. And basically, they have correspondence in the 1960s with Roddenberry and people on the show because he had reached out to them because they basically were kind of future planning. And so he reached out to the Rand Corporation to kind of go, what would things be like in the future in terms of space travel and whatnot? And so the actual Rand Corporation gave advice and consulted on early Star Trek, which I just found really fascinating. Yeah.
So we have a great collection here that's very large and very Star Trek. It's the Michael and Denise Okuda collection, the famous couple who worked forever in the art department in and around Star Trek. A couple pieces from them, and there's a huge collection in the catalog, which you should definitely check out at propstore.com. Just a couple here to call out. This is a dedication plaque for the Enterprise from Next Generation.
From
First Contact.
Oh, sorry, from First Contact.
Movie, right, that's the Borg movie, right?
The one with the Borg.
Yeah.
Yes, and the Borg Queen. And this is one of the many scripts that the Okudas have in the collection from Next Gen. This is a Q script, Q Love. And then
And this is a good time to point out, by the way, Q, John Delancey is the actor's name, will be at the Peterson Museum at the exclusive sort of Propstore, what is it, an opening night celebration before the auction?
VIP preview.
A VIP preview.
Yes.
And people can sign, if they want to try and get tickets, they go to propstore.com?
That is right. Yeah, you go out there, there's a button that allows you to register and join the event. So.
Yeah. Meet
and
Q.
it's free.
Yeah.
Completely free. He'll sign autographs, he will take pictures, and he will tell us, he's got about an hour that he'll do a Q&A where he'll talk about his journey on Star Trek all the way from the very first pilot from Star Trek Next Generation, all the way through other shows, including Voyager, and all the way through Picard.
It will mostly be about how he can't find his script.
Yes. He's been looking all over for those scripts, and some guy named Michael Okuda took it and put his label on them. Yes.
This is from... We said this is from Voyager.
This is from Voyager.
Alcar's panel.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, for those that don't know Michael and Denise Okuda, as we talked about, they worked in the art department, but they were also, I guess, inventors. So when we look at the L-cars, they were the ones that created the L-cars, starting first using...
Oh, the notion of lighting them from the back.
Yes, and so the idea that you could just replace these panels, they started with gel, sort of gels on the back, and then as printing got better over time, they would actually digitally print these or color print these on the backs, but they would swap these out. But the idea that you could light them, the idea that they had, for every different race, they would have sort of a different look and feel to them, that was one of the Okuda's contributions
And also
to the
they
Star
could
Trek
reuse
universe.
sets by just switching these out. You could very easily change a set, which is very cool.
And this is actually has a little Greg Jean DNA in it, yes?
This does. So the Okudas were also known because they helped put together the Star Trek Encyclopedia. So as part of the encyclopedia, part of what they did is when you look at the scripts, what's interesting is that there are notes all the way through this, and you'll see sort of their, I'm sure we can find some underlying notes in here, such as this. They would identify sort of the historical moments. If they said, hey, 35 years ago they did this, they would make a note of that. And they created the first timeline for the Star Trek universe, because they first actually thought it was going to be impossible to do, but as they started digging into it and going through their scripts, they were able to put together the very first timeline, which exists in some form today. But they created these ships, which were referenced in the Star Trek universe, but actually were never seen.
The various other classes, different frigates, different classes of like supply ships and whatnot, exactly.
Right. So Greg Jean was the person that they asked to build these ships, and so he came up with his own ideas based off of whatever references there were on what these ships would look like in real life, and so they put those in the Star Trek Encyclopedia as well.
According to this, I think people tuned out from us about 3 minutes ago. This one went really long, but yeah.
Can you access when is the Propstore auction date?
When it boop, 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 right? That's a Star Trek sound,
That's right.
right?
That's very
Beep,
good.
boop, 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 boop.
I'm immersed in
Yeah.
the world. Yes.
My half Vulcan brain tells me it's August 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th, and that night one, or say day one, will be live at the Peterson Museum, which is also where, what day is John Delancey there?
14th.
The 14th, so the night before. So you've got to go and check it out. Reach out to propstore.com and watch all the stuff that Dreams are made of. Videos, like us and everything. I don't know. I can't speak anymore.
At Props
It's so
Podcast.
hot here. Someone help me. Come help us.
Dreams are made of
It's
podcast
so hot here.
at gmail.com.
It's so hot.
Somebody beam Dave out of here.
So hot.